Reminder that trading is risky. Use capital you can afford to lose. Get an education before you start risking real money in the markets. And don't develop bad habits with a simulator because the way you trade in practice is the way you're going to trade with real money. Make sure you can show profitability for at least a few weeks. Month is even better with obviously a simulator rather than real money. Z for eminywizard.com and marketwizards.com. Right, we're going to take a look at a couple of things right now that I think are important. This is obviously the Globex all-day range. We know middle is going to be back here at that 41 area. You got to get back and retest 43.5, 43.75 before you worry about anything down here. Pre-market we talked about. Let's call 28 support, and I think the double at 32 is important. That's turned out to be true. And obviously, play was try to get to the gap trade, and then above it, test 43.75s, and above that, anything goes, including a new high. Said make sure you paid by 48s to 49.5s. And then we said, let's make sure we're paid by the 52s because a target was 50.75. That was T1. So a little bit quiet right now. It's a good time to do a quick review of the bigger trade ideas. So that's what's going on right now with a small picture. We always need to trade inside out. We need to look at the big picture outside in, but then we trade inside out. Just the opposite, meaning nearer the price we are now, you have to make decisions. You can't wait for it to get to XYZ to make a decision if you want to engage and take something out of the day's range. But it does help for perspective to see those other ideas. So let's take a look at a couple of those. Here's our symmetry idea from yesterday's high, which has now become the middle. We have an equidistant move to the bottom of our RTH and to the top of it. So that symmetry idea always suggests to me, make sure you are paid. So it's usually a pretty good indication that somebody's going to want to take profits. Not exactly sure how that works with the algorithms, but it does. And you see this over and over. And it's what I call symmetry. And then we'll look for other evidence of symmetry. But for now, it tells us 43.75 is our primary support. And just below that, the 42s, 41.75. So that's the basis for 42 support right now. And obviously the 52 area as resistance, and range trading that right now. Here's our 2-day range. In pre-market, we had suggested that there was a perfect pullback at the time, a 50% pullback to 29.75. So we're going to just put 28 as support and call 32 the aggressive area for trying to get back towards the gap trade, and anything could get in a bounce trade. So this chart is still very important, and we're going to keep an eye on this 32 as an important idea now because that's become the middle. And then obviously anything below this, if you have to get back past the 37s first and the 32s and then the 27s. So if you keep your eye on this chart as the market gives us new information later, and if we get crazier swings with news or whatever, then these are the levels we're going to keep an eye on step by step. So that's our 2-day range. Three-day range. Red line is coming up at us on a 5-minute chart. Shorts, be very careful about thinking a big move short side right now, because you've got rising moving averages, and that 5 RTH catches my eye. Still have time on the 15 Globex. Those are our primary charts. So we're testing the overnight high. And initially we had said, let's look back here. 25 is our big support underneath 28. If we can get past 41s, then the next primary target going to be this 49.5. Obviously, the next one back here is 58s. So for now, obviously, this is the back end resistance. And this big smoke bar right here, going to be the key, obviously. Lower that bar of support until broken. So this is a 3-day range. And again, what we're doing now is just scaling out from the smaller to the larger. Here is the corrective move. From the high at 29.47 down to that 26.03 low. And this is a bounce, typically what we call the 456. We've got a 40% back, have not been able to get 50 back yet. So currently, using this frame and this frame alone, we can say our current battle right now seems to be important between 27.32. Note what we had talked about this morning as support for now. Anybody's got 43.75s to 42s, make sure you've got something in there, put in your pocket. Right there. Dime off the top. Lock it. So we're looking at this frame, 32s to 75 as the all-important next big decision zone for the big players. Anybody that is buying that 42s, weekends, nothing compares to the first trade that has already happened. Drop losers if you're trying to buy this pullback. Drop losers if it does not work. And anybody who took a short side trade, make sure you are paid. Hit and run. So this is the range that I'm suggesting right now that big boys have to be looking at. And we get above 75, then obviously the 18 back in here is going to be very, very important. And I'm not predicting any of these for today. I'm just suggesting that this is what we're looking at. Okay, we're tackling yesterday's high, 43.75. Keep an eye. Take a quick peek back there, RTH. Okay, we sliced through the red line. Say, keep an eye on this. Again, these are just ideas. You got to break the blue line too. So sometimes when we get too far stretched, we'll get through a couple of them at a time, but very hard to get through 3 of them at once, usually. And here, as I said, we have a little more room on our 15-minute Globex. Because this was done so fast. We said try to get back to the middle of a bar is usually the first objective, not to the bottom of it. That works a lot. So anybody that is trying to buy, think of it as a scalp with a trend, but nowhere near as powerful as the original lows that we had talked about back in here. And this is a retest of the angel area. It's 42, middle of the angels and demons. Usually a target before I think about anything below it. Got 48 as set up as the demon. This is the angel and demon software, and this really works. This is all automatic. And I can set this for whatever size I want, truthfully. Just makes hands off so much easier to do this. Frees me up so I don't have to do a lot of data entry. And I still do, but I do that in quiet time, like at lunch or after hours. Paid for sure by 42s. We said, let's consider that our next range that we need to resolve. This got up here faster, much faster than I thought it would today, and our pullback came back much faster too. Pace seems to be a little bit faster than I was anticipating today. And this was what we had suggested. If it stalled, then this 42 would be an important, make sure you get paid. First time back to this line, you got to get through the first line, and then you got to come back through the second line. Then the opportunity comes here. If you stall here and don't take out the high, retest failure, then you also open up the door to come back in here and test this bottom of this box. And that would be a 3-box move at 37s. And then obviously middle all the way back here at 32. So the 51, 75, 52 resistance works for some crumbs coming back against the 2-day push. Let's finish that other study we were looking at. Just take a couple more minutes. And by the way, when you get something like this idea that corresponds to it, you don't even think twice. You already know that bases a couple of different charts. This is a support zone that hopefully will hold. And this is the correct re-entry for a long side based on that blue line and based on this information right here. Doesn't have to take out the high, but for re-entry trades, that's where it comes from right there. Because of that blue line on the 5 RTH, the slope line. So completing what we were talking about, we obviously know that this is the pipe, and that's the beauty of studying small time frames, because it allows us to think about not only the big boys who are creating these swings and the big moves, not us, but the generals, but the same analysis that we're using on that methodology allows us to understand the bigger moves too. Because now we already know this high-end zone of the pipe, 27, 90 and a quarter. Key idea. The low end of the pipe, 26, 85, 75, where we've got a gap back in there. That's supportive. Trying to push. We get through the 38s, which is the year middle. And we're up here in this box trying to see what can be done there. So step by step. So currently, this is our resistance box and our fighting box. And this is our support box. Was down here, and then fighting in here, and now we're up here as a resistance zone. And yesterday's fighting zone and the prior support zone. And you can see nothing down here has really held under that 2633 and a half, right? Just all tails. So currently, this is the formation we're in, and this is the range that we are looking at basis this chart. So that's inside out, looking at where we are now into the bigger picture. And this is the last chart we're going to look at, which basically we can do the same type of analysis, and we've looked at this one before. And we can see that this level has held for now. This is a 3-box move based on this range, which is from the elections when our president, Donald Trump, clearly knew something that a lot of politicians didn't, that there was a way to win the election by just being authentic and being himself. A lot of people don't like that. He certainly upset a lot of people because of his personality and his politics. And say what you want, he's still our president. And the stock market has reacted very favorably to his election, as we can see. So using all of the ideas that we've talked about before with the small charts and learning how it really moves, we can say really all we've had since then is a 3-box move, and probably smart traders decided to take some profits ahead of the elections. And those traders who had a great short side trade are probably taking profits, and that's causing the bounce. So realistically, this 27, 17 and a half, which we talked about yesterday as support. This idea right in here is our current support. We said that yesterday. And based on this chart, you can see it. You can see that level and how important it is to a big boy. And we have a continuation bounce. And now this is our fighting box based on this scale. And this scale going all the way back to November in 16. So I submit to you that we can look at many different types of charts using this methodology, using the E-widget, and we can understand these type moves and why we get some powerful moves from them. So realistically, the middle of this box probably will be important. Right? Somewhere around this 75 area. So that's what I'm thinking. And I hope this little analysis helps you guys improve your trading.